Be the right club. Be the right club today.
Johnny, that's better than most.
How about him?
That is better than most. Better than most.
Expect anything different?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the No Laying Up Live show, presented as always by our friends at High Noon. We are now living in a world where JJ Spaun is a major champion. We are going to talk about all of the crazy stuff that went down today. Solly here, joined by my guy, Mr. Neil Schuster. Hello, Neil.
Greetings to you fellow honorary Yinzers. It's good stuff from Mike Wan. Good stuff from the USGA. Fired up to be here. That was awesome.
TC is here. Hello, TC.
I am here, and I still cannot believe that Yinzer is not a slur. It just sounds like a
something
slur.
you're not supposed to say.
If Mike Wan said it, then I can say it. How about that?
Every time I see it or hear it, I'm just like, I probably shouldn't say that.
DJ Pie is here. Hello, Pie Man.
Guys, I don't know what more you could ask for than that finish.
Great.
JJ Spaun is your 234th man to win a major championship. I love it. I love it. Can't wait to talk about it.
I think 10 years ago, me would have been so mad that JJ Spaun won a major, and I had so much fun today, and I leapt out of my chair when he made that putt. I thought that whole thing was awesome. Guys, High Noon has new non-carbonated vodka iced tea flavors. The new vodka iced tea Lake Pack introduces two new exciting flavors, green tea and half, alongside the classic original tea and peach flavors. I have saved one original. This is the last of the teas that I have here. One original for tonight. Lake Pack brings together real vodka and crisp iced tea packed up for maximum flavor to bring you wherever your day takes you. Visit highnoonspirits.com to find a pack near you. High Noon, sun's up. I mean, easiest place for us to start. One of the most clutch drives in major history was hit Sunday. You could say on the 17th hole or on the 18th hole at Oakmont. And it was with a Titleist GT3 9-degree driver. For 6 years and counting, Titleist has been the most played driver on the PGA Tour. It was no different this week at the U.S. Open. 58 competitors gamed a Titleist driver, including both the winner and the runner-up. With everything on the line on the 17th tee, the champ pulled his GT3 and hit his drive on the 314-yard par 4, just under 18 feet, setting up the go-ahead birdie. And on 18, he striped the GT3 again right down the middle of the fairway to slam the door. Titleist GT drivers are engineered to deliver total driver performance without sacrifice, faster, longer, straighter, and more forgiving across the face than any Titleist driver to precede it, with exceptional looks, feel, and sound. The best way to take advantage of the generational technology of Titleist GT line is through a custom fitting. Head to Titleist.com to find a fitting near you. Not including the copy here. They're not promising that you're going to win the U.S. Open if you do that, but you will find success if you give a Titleist GT.
Probably not going to hurt.
You might have to get a mea culpa out of the way. We were both saying definitely missing right here off 18T. 100%. Nobody's made par from over there. Big Bob playoff. Come on, man. Unbelievable finish for JJ Spaun. My guy, Scatabo.
That it was, Neil. We're gonna get to it. We're gonna talk JJ Spaun. Of course, we're gonna talk Sam Burns. We're gonna talk about the drop or no drop on 15. We're gonna talk Big Shot Bob. Of course, we got TC in here to our Oban correspondent. Talk a little Big Shot Bob. We're gonna talk Oakmont. We've got a dynamic show tonight.
In the bullpen.
We're gonna have some pop-ins and pop-outs. This is kind of a bullpen game. You know, we're gonna try to get two good ones. I think from Neil. If we can get through most of the order with Neil, that'd be great. We'll let him go. We'll hang with TC. We're going to bring Randy in at some point. Solly talked to Michael Kim, guy who actually played Oakmont. We got a little sound from him. We're going to bring KVV in on the back end, hopefully close this thing out. But first, of course, we have to start with major champion JJ Spaun, the lone man under par. I mean, that's what you want out of a U.S. Open. We always like to say, we don't want, nobody, the course is going to be what the course is. We don't care about the winning score. There's something awesome about one guy being under par. I'm just going to say it. I don't know if that fully just transitions me into kind of a meal-brained casual golf fan, but I love it. Neil, what do you love about it?
I just love it when par is relevant. We always talk about par being irrelevant. I like it that it was at the U.S. Open. It should be relevant, and I think I had a picture. I don't know if Cody, I don't want to call on too early, but of Adam Scott fist pumping a bogey on 11. And I know Adam Scott just, vaporized himself coming down the stretch, but just like a nice low fist pump made like a 15-footer for bogey. And that shit is like what I'm going to remember with Oakmont. Just, who can stay alive, who can keep their wits about them. It was awesome. And it was like, Solly, we've talked about it a bunch when, to test these guys, you almost need Mother Nature to, you need basically a perfect storm. And I think we kind of got that. Even though
it's not the worst possible. They got the worst storm.
But I'm saying, I think normally you'd be like, oh, it needs to be firm and fast. I think just throwing all these variables, it was sunny and then it was pouring rain and then it was thunder and then halftime, everybody go to the locker room and then come back out. It was just like, it was a true mental examination, which TC, I know you're all about. So I loved it. I just like seeing these guys stressed out. I think I don't want to see it every week, but once a year for sure. That's what the US Open's all about. That was awesome.
Neil, I posted it earlier. I thought in this kind of overly optimized data boy world that we live in, sometimes it's really nice to just get like so many variables and just a bunch of slop and a bunch of mud and rain and cool. Let's just see who can get the ball in the hole. Throw all the shit out the window. Throw all your routines and your, all your little calculations out the window. And like, you just got to hit a golf shot. You got to control your spin. You got to keep it between the mayonnaise and the mustard. I thought it was a really, really interesting last 3 hours of watching golf. I loved it.
And JJ Spaun, we should mention, surely you've heard by now, 3 under on the back after starting with 5 consecutive fives, doinks the flagstick on number 2, one of the worst breaks ever, and just like fighting for his life in that front 9, shoots 40 on the front, ends up like you said, Neil, halftime, refs blew the whistle, go regroup, maybe a good halftime speech in there, I don't know about that, but just comes out looking.
He went into the protocol.
We were saying he was in the blue tent. Then he passed concussion protocol. He's like, oh, he's back on the field, here he comes, and he made a 40-footer like downhill slider to get back
12
in
that he just barely touches, goes in the hole, and all of a sudden it was like, oh wait, he's back in, and truly like looked like a different person after that, and just stayed locked in. Bogeyed 15, which a lot of people did, but birdie 17 with the drive that Solly mentioned off the top. Just truly one of the best shots you're ever going to see in a major championship. And then steps up, hits 2 very high quality shots on 18, hits the fairway, hits the green in the right spot, gets a read from Vic, which is a whole other thing. I shout out to my guy Connor, was in my text. He's like, I've got 2 different group texts saying that Vic needs to chip this right now because A, Vic needs to make it, and B, he can't give the read to JJ Spaun. I was like, I don't know, that feels like overthinking it. But sure enough, JJ gets the read, pours it right in the fucking middle on 18 too, and the golf world goes nuts. Solly, you picked JJ last night. This was never a doubt.
Talk about
this
that.
Was never a doubt. Solly was like, absolute. Just be patient, guys. I know it's 5 straight 5s. Just be patient. He's about to hit the afterburners here.
I did not want to talk about any that I said that last night. I was, I wasn't going to bring that up at all. But he just played such a freaking good tournament that even when he got put in the blender early on, I was not surprised to see him fight back. Honestly, I just did not think like he doesn't seem to be like what happened at the Players was not a choke. It was not a gag. Like he just got the wind wrong in a really difficult spot, and he otherwise might have beaten Rory at a time period when Rory was playing some like truly the best golf anyone in the world.
So like that night, if they have the playoff that night, I think Spaun wins. And
probably
going to come back next morning.
And it's just he's been a little bit of a punchline. I've been guilty of this as well when it comes to like the Ryder Cup conversations. But like he was 164th ranked data golf player in the world at this time last year, and he's 25th now. Like he's very significantly improved his golf. He has just been a true like replacement level player on the PGA Tour for his entire career, and he's completely elevated himself and lifted and separated. And to just the way he played those first 54 holes, just like, dude, he made all of like the US Open putts, the par putts that everybody says you have to make, and like the what people visualize that comes with a successful US Open. He did all of that the entire week. He was second in the field in putting this week, somehow behind Matt Fitzpatrick, who finished 11 over par. I don't understand what Fitz had going on this week, but it was just a remarkable performance, and he hit so many very, very, very good shots. I'm also shout out USGA and Oakmont for like 17 being like reachable for everybody and requiring a specific kind of accuracy and pinpoint nature of that shot with a lot of trouble around it, made for really good watching. Spaun is not a bomber, but giving him the opportunity to hit a driver and hit the shot, like none of the big guns hit that shot against him today. And he went out and won it, dude. He went out and got it. I'm really, really, really impressed.
Can I just say too, I really appreciate, he might be a tumultuous C under the veneer, but he doesn't freak out. And even when he hit the stick on 2 and things are going really, really poorly on the front, he seems like a really humble guy. He keeps his head down. And I just think that's like, I don't know, just, it's fun to see a guy like that make a like 80-footer to win the US Open. You're like, hell yeah, you know, my Carson's out here. She's like, oh my God, I can't believe he made that. Like it's just like, you're just super happy for him. That's how I felt when that putt went in. I was like, hell yeah, man. Like you definitely deserved it. You didn't sneak up on this. You almost blew it, but you stayed in it, and you didn't like, you know, he's not throwing clubs. He's not freaking out. He's not yelling about like, I can't believe this or that. Like you see Hatton doing out there at the end of his round. And, you know, I just think he kind of plays within himself, and he's not the most exciting guy by any means, but like you said, Solly, like most improved player of the year, like sign me up for that award, man. Like maximizing your talent, like shout out to JJ Spaun, full stop.
And it's been, you know, what, 7 years or so that he's been on tour now. And I think the older, at least the older I get and the more golf I watch, the more I tend to appreciate these guys who just kind of level up their career a little bit every year, a little bit every year, a little bit every year, don't lose their card, kind of hang around and hope for a big payoff like this. And I think that's what we saw. Like if you look at his data golf, like kind of his skill profile or his distribution, it's like last year was his best year by far as a tour player. And this year he has improved his iron play significantly. He's added a bunch of length, and he's putting way better. And it's like, you know, in year 8 or whatever of a PJ Tour career, it's like, again, it's almost like, I don't know, you don't know that payoff's going to come, right? There's little whiffs of the Adam Scott, Justin Rose, man, I'm grinding every week to, you know, for some hopeful payoff that's going to come up. And then you ladder on kind of some of the health stuff that he was going through and just not quite knowing.
Type 1 diabetes, that's no joke, with you know, just being out on the golf course all day long and managing spikes and that sort of thing.
And not knowing if it's going to pay off. And then, of course, you know, you get a moment like that putt going in, a 60-footer to win the U.S. Open. It's just like, it's awesome, man. It's really, really, really cool. So
can I just read this into the record when it comes to like rankings of where he sits? Because again, like he's been a bit of a punchline, but this is 15 through 30 in the data golf.
Been a punchline for you.
Correct. hand up on this. But mostly you guys, you Europeans. 15th in the world and down goes Sam Burns, Ben Griffin, Keegan, Tyrrell Hatton, Hideki, Ludwig, Siwoo Kim, Jordan Spieth, Viktor Hovland, Harris English, JJ Spaun, Daniel Berger, Mav McNeely, Robert McIntyre, Denny McCarthy, Harry Hall. Like that's the names he's like sandwiched in.
It's an expensive zip code he's living in, man.
Right? Yeah. It's a lot of the dudes that were up there
at
the end of this tournament. You know, we've hand up as well. I've not given him the proper respect for the season he's had and the improvements he's made.
Is Tommy Fleetwood ahead of him?
We're not doing that tonight, Neil. This is JJ Spaun.
This is a celebration. Okay? A celebration of JJ Spaun.
Tommy is 7th, so yes, he's ahead.
Yes,
he's trying his hardest.
Yeah, appreciate that.
TC, mea culpa. I'll call my dogs off. I'm sorry.
I think JJ too. It's cool to see. Like, I think he's been upfront about like, man, I was too hard on myself, or my attitude sucked, and like I've had to learn how to play within myself and how to be patient and be disciplined and all of that. And it's cool to see guys mature before your very eyes. And I think we've seen that a little bit with Bob MacIntyre. Like Hatton even being there down the stretch. Like, I don't know, it was just a cool thing because I think you look back at this leaderboard in 10 years and you're like, oh, JJ Spaun, Robert McIntyre, Viktor Hovland, Cam Young, Tyrrell Hatton, Carlos Ortiz, Rahm, Scheffler, Burns, Henley, Xander, Brooks. Like those are the names down. And didn't play out at all like that. It's such a kind of a weird, this one will be a really weird one to look back on, I think, for so many reasons, because it's one of those majors that just won't get captured correctly with Wikipedia. But I think also just Spaun was doing it when he was like, when it was the most real golf ever of, hey, it is dry and fast out here, and he did it when it was the most slop fest, Calvin Burrell Kentucky Derby of all time. And it's like he won both legs, which I think is really, really cool too. Like he shot, like you said, he had four birdies on the back nine, and I don't know, but yeah, just really cool. And I think on the Viktor front, I think Viktor is like, I worry about his putter, because I think Viktor and Scotty, like we were robbed of seeing them really, really, really in the mix or in a playoff or battling down the stretch because of both of their putters the last few days. That stings
I would
me a
say
little
Scotty
bit.
for sure. I actually felt like Viktor missed some irons today.
Can
He had some good spots to.
Can I just close the book on JJ before we get down the board with those two guys? This is his best finish in a major prior to this was T35 at the 2018 PGA Championship. This was his second U.S. Open ever. He wasn't qualified for any of the majors last year. None of them. And he comes out and wins the U.S. Open. When I said he was 164th in the rankings as of last year, this is who 164th right now is Danny Walker.
Not
unfamiliar with that name.
Oh, that's absolute stud. Look out. That's on TC's. That's on one of TC's watch lists.
No, he's American.
It's on one of them.
No, he's not. Christopher Rattan, who's Norwegian, is right below him. Yeah. He's on TC's
Predator.
watch list. Yeah.
TC invented Christopher Rattan. What was it?
Rattan? I don't know.
Okay.
So I mean, Solid, to your point, last year he played in the Myrtle Beach tournament. He played in the ISCO championship. He played in the Barracuda. Played the entire fall series. And then T3 at Sony Open, I think, is really what started to catapult him, because like otherwise he wouldn't have been into any of the signatures either.
Well, that's what I was going to say too, is he has added some length, but I think his game has probably evolved a little bit, but the courses he plays well at, I think are, it's always easy looking back, but it's Sony, it's Honda, which is, very demanding from a ball striking perspective. It's the players. He played well at the Truist, or played decent at the Truist, played well at Colonial. It's a lot of like those types of golf courses where you just keep the ball in front of you, make some putts, and you're going to have a chance. And,
build around.
It all clicks
instead of
this week.
Yeah.
He's been the 12th best iron player in the world over the last 6 months.
I saw
right behind Tommy.
I think I saw a quote earlier this week or maybe it was earlier today, of him saying after the play, like, at the Players, I was nervous. I was, I didn't know if I should be in that position. And he was like, I feel like I've learned I love it when guys are like vulnerable about that. Like, yeah, man, I was a little scared, but like, I'm ready today. I'm ready, and it's like, the more these guys are like honest with themselves about that stuff, I just admire that. And, JJ Spaun's not a guy people are chasing down for quotes. But it sounds like if you do chase him down, he's got a lot of good things to say. So I'm fired up for him. That's awesome.
So just to kind of add more clarity to it, go back in his stats a little bit, going back to 2021, like he was significantly below average iron player. And now he's one of the best. Like, what did you say? Number 12 in the world?
Over the last 6 months, he's 12th, just behind Tommy.
Which again, I feel like every time we get to these majors, as much as it is, bombing it is a prerequisite to a certain level. Like it does always seem like it comes back to the iron play.
Novak's 63rd TC. Sorry, just to close the book on
that. So I feel like the Ryder Cup team's filling up too, between Ben Griffin, Spaun, McNeely. Now Burns is on there too. Egan, Novak.
It's good to see the midfield start to fill out a little bit.
That's right.
Let's take the Ryder Cup stuff. We'll do that later.
Big Shot Bob, your solo runner up after a just dynamite post rain delay performance from the man. Birdie's 14, birdie's 17. TC, what'd you see from Big Shot Bob?
Not much.
Yeah, not a whole lot. What we did see was I don't know, couple pretty brilliant shots down the stretch. Clean card on the back. He didn't have a bogey after number 6. He played his last 12 holes in 3 under par, which I think is pretty strong. The eagle on 4 was certainly sweet too. I think we did see that one, but I think otherwise, just I don't know. I saw some bad facial hair. Randy was saying he needs some sort of a razor. I liked his interview. He said he's been working with his mental coach. He's another guy just like Spaun that's just had to kind of figure out how to how to stay within himself and how to get the ball in the hole in big moments. And I think Bob's going to get one of these. Maybe not a U.S. Open, but he's going to get a major at some point. I think he's got a flair for the moment. He played really, really well down the stretch when it mattered with the birdie on 17, and then pretty clutch par on 18 too.
That was another one. I didn't know what to expect on that 18th tee, and like it was a seed. Just could not have been more in the middle of that 18th.
It can't ever feel
commercial.
great to be a runner-up in a major, but I gotta think Big Bob's feeling good. Heading to the airport or heading to the hotel tonight. Like,
it's a great reaction.
He
too.
balled out. And can we confirm? Was it him on 17T with the "be as good as you look"?
It was.
Okay, that was just good stuff. It came up, landed soft, but I love him talking to his ball dirty. That's good stuff from Big Bob.
That was gonna be so difficult if Bob won today for us to like talk about it, because I think it's a source that told me he had about 6 shots shown in the first 13 holes, which it goes. It's just a weird flow of things, but it's almost like it's not going to be a forgotten performance. It is going to be a forgotten performance because we didn't see much of any of it all week. Like it just kind of rose out of nowhere. When it came to watching on top, I could not have watched more U.S. Open golf this week, and I feel like I can't really tell you anything about
that's
Bob's
one. Like,
flow.
there's some criticisms for the broadcast. That one snuck up on everybody, right?
It did. No, I honestly,
he made the turn. He's 3 over, and the leaders are probably 2 under, 3 under at the time, and it's like, I just, man, I can understand if Tommy Roy's like, I just didn't really see Big Bob coming, guys. I'm sorry about that.
15 other guys on the
Tommy Roy's
board.
so
He was
Truly didn't see that one coming.
Honestly, I'm with you, Neil. I'll give them benefit of the doubt on that one. It was random that anybody was going to come from that level, but I think it does speak to them. Their entire approach leaves them vulnerable for something like that, and they almost got caught very red-handed today. But it just makes it hard to talk about here today.
I do think it's one of those things, though, that I think the best thing about NBC this weekend was that they proved that they are not in the running to get this contract after 2026. Like they're going to get out of the game, I think, based on what they showed us this week. And
we can save some hamster.
I don't know about that, TC. I mean, are they going to get out of the Golf Channel game? Because that's.
Well, I think Golf Channel is going over to Versant. That's the Spinco, and that's going to anyway. Yeah, we can talk about that later.
Viktor Hovland.
That's the case, TC.
Viktor Hovland solo 3rd after 73 today. That is his 4th, I believe, top 5 in a major. Neil, he's knocking, man. He's knocking. It's a little bit turning into when you expect it least. He shows up. Reminded me a lot of that Valhalla performance last year, although of course does have a win on the books already this year. But it's been a pretty decent run since there. T21 at the Masters, T13 at the Heritage, kind of anonymous at the Truist, T28 at the PGA, and T25 at the Memorial in the short field there. So, Neil, what you see from your guy, the cutie, Viktor Hovland?
I can't get enough of Vic, man. I just desperately want him to get back in the mix, get back into consistent form. He's putting the work in. Some of the quotes I saw about, it's really not about the outcome. I just want to hit the shots. And like, when I don't hit the shots properly, like I don't like it. And when I do hit them properly, like that's what gets him going. Like the guy's like an artist. He really wants to, he just really wants to play golf. And I find him so easy to root for. I find his like post-shot commentary. It's not bitchy, but it's demanding of himself. He knows immediately. That's got to go.
He's accountable.
He has such good face awareness. Like he knows exactly what his ball is doing off the club face. And I just think he's a really interesting cat. And I love the way he lashes at the golf ball. And I was really rooting hard for him. I was rooting hard for Adam Scott today. Both those guys I'm, a fan of. And I think Victor's, you're right, Deej, knocking on the door. But I said it earlier. I felt like there were a few, green light specials that he just didn't cap his proximity at TC. I know you said he missed some shorties early, but I felt like his proximity.
The putter looked awful the first 4 holes or so.
It did, but more so late in the round. Like there were a few spots where the door was cracked open and he did not, he didn't hit it close enough. Like that's just kind of like what happened. You're like, that was a good shot, but not a great shot.
Neil, very well said about Victor's quotes from yesterday. I do have some quotes from him today that he just got done giving up. So the question, Viktor Hovland, 3 over 73. Can you talk us through the round today? It was obviously a grind. Vic goes, yeah, just didn't have it today. Just didn't hit it very good. And I missed way too many short putts. Just didn't make anything. It was a grind, but happy to battle back at least. And it was a very nice week. Follow up a little bit earlier, obviously, about the putt, and we could get to that about if he gave JJ a read or anything. And he's like, yeah, that's the US Open for you. What an unbelievable putt. I can't believe I witnessed it. Just living life, knows that he didn't have it, and it's completely okay with that. On to the next one.
Yeah, super
an
honest, just direct. Wants to go see Stonehenge. It's like the guy fucking rules, man.
Yeah, he does.
He's one of the few pro golfers that is like legitimately. I'm trying to think of like one thing he's given us that makes him like harder, like makes it harder to root for him. Like he doesn't do any. He has none of the ick factors that so many of these guys have.
He leaves me wanting so much more out of him too. I'm like, holy shit!
Yeah, he like avoids the spotlight, but he's just I don't know. He's just like really easy for me to ride for. I find him fascinating, and I find his swing electric. All of it. I'm in.
Really good tournament. Really big missed opportunity today. Like
Agreed.
This should have been his golf tournament. I think this is it.
That said,
just 3 solid days and not a good one today.
That said, even if he, finishes 3 shots better, I know we can replay it and who knows what JJ would have done, but then he's in a playoff. Like he lost by 3 to JJ. Like it's not like it was one shot here or there. I think the most jarring thing about Viktor, and maybe this leads to some course setup stuff, is he was second in strokes gained short game this week, like strokes gained around the green, which is wild.
And to Solly's point too, the other day is like, especially at a course like this, that probably just means you're leaving it in the right spots, more than
some of that, and just like the chipping out of the rough, out of this thick cabbage is much different than a bunch of short grass everywhere, right?
One more thing to flag on Viktor as well. Just really good Open Championship record. He's played it 4 times. He missed the cut last year, but before that, T12, T4, T13. And it just feels like Portrush would be a good fit if he's keeping some form going. So not a hot take there, but flagging it. Sure.
This feels like Viktor being back a lot more than Valhalla did. I mean, I can't describe the difference in the tests of these 2 golf courses and how much Valhalla lets you get away with and how little Oakmont lets you get away with. So this is like I'm no longer treating Hovland like an unstable compound, to borrow from Minwoo Lee. That's how I felt about him basically since the beginning of 2024. But I'm retiring any of those thoughts because I think Big Dick Vic is back.
He's a proper player.
I hope so, man.
This version is. He was not proper not very long ago.
Well, and going back to what would that be? Oak Hill. Probably like when he goes on runs, he goes on serious runs, like there is the one kind of weird fluke here and there, but like that, the last couple times, like, to your point, Sally, like I think he's raised that floor back, hopefully to a much more recognizable place.
Like there's not a lot of other golfers. I don't want to say nobody. I mean, cause Scotty does this too, but I feel like Viktor will enter like a flow state more than a lot of other golfers where the way he swings it and like, especially with his iron play, he just knows it when he hits it perfect. He's doing exactly what he visualized. You can just see it where I don't see that from other guys quite as much. I don't know if I'm explaining that properly, but
I know what you're saying, Neil. Like he just
gets a lot out of his good play.
Beasts a little bit like that too. Like he's chasing a feel as well. Like if he has a feel, he's gonna just lean into it and see where it takes him.
Well, I think I have a feeling I know where it is going to take him here. I'm assuming probably already on his way. That's the 2025 Travelers Championship, the Northeast one and only PGA Tour signature event. I cannot promise it's going to surpass the excitement of last year's thrilling finale. Scotty Scheffler broke away from a loaded leaderboard, 3 straight birdies in the back 9 during the final round, led to a dramatic 1-hole playoff with Tom Kim winning him his 6th PGA Tour victory of the year. I laugh every time I read that. Will Scotty repeat as champion? Probably so. We're going to find out, though, on this Sunday. Come watch as the world's best PGA Tour players try to dethrone him. All of them competing all 4 days at TPC River Highlands. Begins June 19th, runs through June 22nd. For tickets and information, visit travelerschampionship.com to see the greats, including Scotty Scheffler, Rory McIlroy, Xander Schauffele, Ludwig Oberg, and all the rest. We should put Hovland's name in that as well. The Travelers Championship, there is only one.
TC, that was one of your faves to go to when you lived up there, wasn't it? I mean, just
Yeah,
a good
love
golf course
River
to go
Highlands.
watch. Yeah, good
It's
stuff.
it's like the anti-TPC course. I think it's an old school track. It's yeah, there's just interesting. It's a great finishing stretch.
If you get into a playoff, it's going to go on and on and on that 18th hole, which it
18's
feels like it's
kind of
always in a
been
playoff.
18 used to be a much better hole back in the day, kind of like 18 at Phoenix, and now it's just a little bit one note. But man, the 3 or 4 prior to it are freaking awesome. There's some really good holes in that front 9 too, and train tracks on the golf course. Always love train tracks.
Of course.
Well, TC, you mentioned some course setup stuff. Let's go to Oakmont next. I want to frame it this way: we're coming back to Oakmont in 2033, right? So, what do we need to write in the notebook? What do we need to remember when we're doing our preview podcast? 2033 happy hour for the U.S. Open. What do we need to be remembering about what we just watched?
It is that hard. The last 2 that we've watched have been soft, and like there's been one guy that's beaten 1 under par in either of those 2 U.S. Opens. So if it gets firm, our guest is going to talk to a little bit about that here shortly as well. If we get a decent spring leading up to it, 13 inches of rain in the last 4 weeks, something like that. The most in what did Mike Wallen say? The most in Allegheny County history. It's hard to describe how much rain they've gotten, and still one person broke par. And it took a 64-foot putt on the last hole. It's going to be with a different golf ball too when they come back. It is that serious of a test. It is one of golf's truest, most proper tests, maybe the hardest golf course still in the world. So I will not forget that part of it for next time around.
Neil, what's in your notebook?
I can't remember the last time that a major turned into just an unexpected free-for-all. And NBC was probably this morning we got 4 guys, the last 2 groups, that's all we got to focus on. And it just turned into a complete melee, just a cage fight. It was crazy. And pair that with the last 4 before this major winners, Bryson, Xander, Scotty, and Rory, basically the top 4 in the world. We were probably due for one of these, right? And a no shade at JJ Spaun because he played the best golf and he got it done. But that's not the name any of us were thinking as you ask Wednesday, what if JJ Spaun wins? Man, that would be kind of not an exciting tournament. But I love to get a U.S. Open like this, just a total melee, veterans, first timers, journeymen, scattaboo, just all kinds of characters involved. Big Bob, Cam Young's flashing. Does Viktor have it? There was just so many.
It was a true mystery.
It was a true mystery all the way, honestly, until I guess 16, until he hit that drive on 17. It was a true mystery, I think. I just think that there were no horses involved really. It was just a bunch of question marks. It was a dog fight. Just a bunch of dogs in the mud, man. And I thought that was awesome.
Well, that's kind of what I was going to say is we did kind of flag this, I feel like, on the preview, which is with the way that this is going to be set up, this is going to bring a lot of playing styles into the mix. And that obviously became very, very, very true. And I think that would be what I would write and circle in my notebook is very, very hard does not mean that does not correlate with the world rankings necessarily, right? It is just a wildly different test than we see 99% of weeks on the PGA Tour. And that means you're probably going to see a different leaderboard than you would see, or you could see a different leaderboard than you would see 99%.
Which is not that different from Lee Jansen won 2 of these. Andy Norris won 2 of these. There's a lot of not fluky, but very unique US Open winners.
Yeah. I know, and it seems like we're almost just getting back to that era more than we are leaving it, which is very exciting. Go ahead.
We'll see. We're due for some conditions for a U.S. Open. We have not had any since Shinnecock, and we're going back to Shinnecock. I hope we get some condidities there because that's where I think
you just got some conditions. Different conditions.
Yeah, Oakmont is unique. In that it just has a higher floor of not needing conditions behind it to produce a really proper test. And I think I fear we're back. We can very easily, like Pebble. I think you got to get silly with Pebble to make it play really hard, and that's where you just end up with kind of some of these blender tournaments that I just don't think are great tests. Like it's been hard to articulate why I think Oakmont is a really good test. It has a lot of characteristics of golf courses I don't like, but it has enough width in the fairways and enough size of the greens, enough contouring around the greens, and enough like TPC sawgrass-like punishments, which I think are some of the best punishments you get for offline shots, instead of like wingfoot-like punishments where it's a uniform punishment no matter where you hit it. And it stood up really, really well, man. I'm really glad it did because it just produced an excellent championship.
I think my big takeaways will be, I don't think they have to go as nuts with the rough around the greens. I'd like to see a little bit more variety around the greens in certain spots. I thought the setup was marvelous overall, though. Like I didn't, it's a change up. I want to see something different than what we see week to week, and really like the PGA Championships turned into something relatively unserious as far as major championship tests go. So I like seeing these guys push to the limits of their ability. And Randy and I talk about it jokingly all the time, but like that was a psychological examination. That was guys having to reach within themselves and battle themselves and their demons, and just a lot of tension in the hands and conditions and all of that. I think the other thing I loved was, and I hope that we get this with a rollback, it doesn't sound like they've completely nailed the golf ball yet. I want to see the golf ball spin more. And I think what we got to see today for the last 2 or 3 hours of that tournament was the guys not in control of their golf ball completely, because it was spinning more, or it was knuckling, or like there was more variance, right? And that's been one of my biggest pet peeves about pro golf. And Sully, you brought up Pebble Beach, like when Woodland won, there was no variance whatsoever. It was like hit it really freaking hard, and it just very low spin, and get it to just run out as far as possible, and then find it and hit again. And I think that works on links golf for the most part, because there's stuff in play. There's those pop bunkers and everything, but I don't think that works as much in American golf. And so it was really, really refreshing today to see, spin and total control of your golf ball get rewarded, and true accuracy get rewarded. Like even Spaun's drive on 18, just having that trusty cut that he knew, like that's a really hard tee shot. And he stepped up there and he just mastered the moment. And I love that, instead of, trying to get it down there as far as possible, because having a wedge in your hand is different than having, a 4-iron in your hand.
Wedge in your hand, regardless if it's fairway or rough.
Yeah.
That's really well said.
And those bunkers are really penal. Like
that's exactly what I was going to say.
That was a big highlight of the week too. Is like, that was my biggest takeaway from playing there, was the bunkers were true hazards. Like you were maybe getting 120 yards max out of it. We saw it today with Adam Scott on 3 pretty early on, and continued the rest of the day.
And it wasn't just the bunkers too. It was all the surrounds of the bunkers. You saw it with Hatton on 17, and him. Like I don't know who or what he's mad at there. Like, is he mad that it didn't, like his shitty drive didn't get all the way down into the bunker where it would have been an easier shot?
Thick ass rough,
right? Yeah. Like I'm like, that was such an awesome challenge. I haven't seen fairway bunkers like that, like in non-links golf maybe ever. And it just played really well, I thought.
I think we need a massive Gil Hanse shout out. Like this is maybe one of the best renovations we've seen for many of the courses he's done prior to a major. We talked about green expansion leading up into this. How great were some of the pin positions and in a bunch of the spots, especially that second hole, made for great viewing the whole time. The ditch restoration, the ditches played fucking phenomenally all week. Awesome, awesome variance on those. And the rough, again, I'm not a huge rough fan. That's as good as I think rough can play. It felt like you deserved to be in the rough when you were in it. You deserved some of the luck that maybe came with the good or the bad lies. It was way more bad than good in there. And to the point, what they did with the bunkers made it truly like when a ball got in there, you're like, oh, fuck, there's bogey. Fuck, there's bogey. Like,
you never
feel
the
hole the right way
anywhere else.
It's
true.
And Sally, I think like we saw that the least of what Gil did, right? Because I think a lot of those little pockets and shelves on the greens that he created or brought back, I think would have played magnificently. Like that that whole location on 3 today with firm greens.
Yeah.
Guys would have
Oh
been
my
making
God.
quads and quintuple bogeys. So yeah, it was, I don't know. I think the USGA did a great job with the hand that they were dealt this year.
Well, Neil, your pitch count's getting up there, so we're gonna bring in the lefty here in a minute, start them warming up. Before we get you out of here, I want to know 2 things. What's gonna be your lasting memory of this week? And 2, what's going on with these mystery boxes? The Czar's gone crazy. I'm hearing he's giving it all away.
A lasting memory. I called it out earlier, but the Adam Scott fist pumping the bogey. I don't know why I just got such a kick out of that, but I think honestly, it's going to be Randy's proper test index. I don't want to steal the big guy's thunder, but I think this is the proper test of our generation. And I know, and I feel confident calling Oakmont the home of the proper test. And I think that's awesome. I'm glad it exists. I don't want all PGA Tour events to look like that. I don't want all majors to look like that, but I just love it that in Western Pennsylvania, they are not scared to test these guys. They're not scared of a proper test. And to, for what some of these guys like to embarrass some of them. Yeah, you might shoot in the 80s. There might be more guys in the 80s than in the 60s.
Might destroy a locker.
I just thought Randy's explanation of the PTI was brill, absolutely brill. And yes, we have a mystery box. Sign up for our newsletter. Subscribe.nolayingup.com/giveaway. I've got a whole bag of goodies from an office clean out. I got some good stuff in there. I got some portable speakers. I got some golf balls. I got all kinds of good stuff. So sign up. I'm going to select a random winner from new subscribers and current subscribers to the newsletter. Subscribe.nolayingup.com. /giveaway. I had to get in an ad on the way out, guys.
Well, Neil, good to have you. Go rest up. We got a big video shoot this week. I'll see your ass tomorrow.
I think we're going to see Big Shot Bob tomorrow.
I think we are.
Yeah, exciting stuff. All right, good stuff, guys.
Thank you, Neil.
Can't wait. TC, why don't you take us down the leaderboard here? Because I think we're going to get to a couple more little stories here as we get into it.
I would love it. Cam Young, Cody, pop in here for this. Cam Young.
Yes, sir.
Anything? What do you? Pretty clean round today. I think he was sniffing around for a little bit there, and then kind of stalled out into the front 9 there, and then just needed 1 or 2 more birdies, like on 12 or on 16 to kind of get it in gear.
Yeah, he was mad as hell in his press conference.
Really?
Yeah, just couldn't get anything going. He's like, I hit the ball way too good to not make any of those putts. And then obviously,
which is crazy because he was 2.5 or 2, almost 3 shots gained on putting today.
I think it's one of those things where
3rd for the week, by the way, Cody, which if I would have told you our guy's going to earn almost 8 shots on the field with the flat stick this week, I think we would have. A, I don't know that I would have seen it coming, even though it's been a month and a half now. But B, I don't know that we would have believed it. I think we would have taken that.
He's mad as hell about the greens too, and the amount of water that was on him. I know that he was trying to chip up on, I can't remember which hole it was, and there was 14, water pooling behind it, and he's like, "No, I want to hit my shot and use it as like a backstop." Like, you can't hit that shot. We gotta get people out here to squeegee and towel it down.
It was kind of the reverse Burns, right?
Yeah,
Burns didn't want to hit a shot, which they should have made him, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's I don't know. He's got to win a tournament one of these days. He's kind of like your guy. We say that all the time about Tom.
You sound like golf gambling Twitter. He's got to win a tournament one of these days. People are still doing this every single week.
But he was really stinky. Like, I honestly was concerned after I did that video shoot with him. I'm like, man, he's like not good anymore. And he's been playing awesome the last 3 months. His putter's completely turned around, and he's in a good headspace. So I don't know. He's a big game hunter. So one of these days, it's got to turn for him.
I mean,
JJ Spaun wins.
How good is his? Does he seem to fit the Travelers next week? Right? Maybe worth a little nuggy.
I mean, he shot 59 at the Travelers last year.
That's right.
He'll be fine.
He did?
Yeah,
might be too many 59s.
There's a lot of 59s.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
It's a serious you don't fluke. Finished T4 at the U.S. Open, and he had the 8th best round of the day today, like in that Sunday and all those conditions. That's another great sign for Team USA. If that guy gets his ass in gear leading up into this fall, that's a very, very, very good course fit. So,
Solly, that's his 17th major, and really since the start of 2022, That is his, let's see, 15th major, and he has Wikipedia yellow in 6 of those 15.
Oh yeah, it's a
Which
lot.
is pretty strong.
A lot.
3 top 5s. So yeah, that pretends something. Solly, you hate Tierrell Hatton.
Done. Just get the fuck out of here. Misses a putt on the first hole by a cup and a half, and it's just it hits something. It hits something in the line, and you're allowed to move anything out of your line. You're allowed to repair your line. And he's flabbergasted at the U.S. Open that a putt missed by a cup and a half, and blames it on the greens. I don't know what he was blaming on 17. I cannot stand this dude.
I
This
think
would be
that's
his
just
true
him
worst
getting
case
it
scenario.
out. Like, I don't
No.
think he actually means it. I think that's just his
If
mechanism
he
to.
was American, you would hate this guy, TC. I need you to hold.
I played with him a few years ago. I really enjoyed my time with him.
I'm
He's
sure you
like,
did.
he's like, I don't know. I like him. He's just like he's
You
just
said it. You
weird.
said it earlier on TC or on Slack TC, and it's very hard to argue. Character's welcome.
Yeah.
You know, I don't have to
It's not a fun
necessarily.
character.
I don't have to like him, but we do need it for the counterbalance of the universe. Solly, like he needed to
Yeah.
be on that TV screen today. It did make it more interesting.
He
Yeah,
shot
made it fun,
72
yeah.
today. Like, not a bad round. He was right in the mix. Two bogeys at the end, 17 and 18. That kind of cost him, but
God, he was bad.
Kind of cost him.
you know, I mean, he hit his irons
Modeled
like a
it.
demon though.
Is he?
You know,
is
he
he a
was
baller?
fourth in iron play all week. So, Carlos Ortiz, Solly, you had a great tweet. It was just like, yeah, like chaos is like super fun, and this whole sweepstakes thing is awesome with the U.S. Open until like Carlos Ortiz fucking wins,
Which he did not, thankfully. D4.
which
Great
what
week.
like his best
Struck the
best
shit out of the
finish in
ball.
a major prior to this was
Like
what, like
T50 something. This is
I
his
think he
second.
Played
Yeah.
7. I think he played
Played 9,
played
missed
9
cut
and
7.
Yeah, exactly. Played 9, missed cut and 7.
He did hit the ball awesome. Like, he looks like extremely committed to
Awesome.
hitting the ball and swinging hard. Like, he played a very nice tournament. I don't mean to downplay it, but it was felt a little bit random.
Rom T7, he kind of fluffed things with those 3 late birdies there at the end, but
All
6 to 7
pre-weather and
today.
everything. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
fake.
Yeah. Scotty, you know, what do we do with Scotty here?
I mean, I you know, couldn't make any putts. I kind of was like, when we were playing the Remember This round on Sunday game back on Thursday, I think Scotty's opening round was the one that I was looking at, the opening 73 that felt like it probably should have been much better. And yeah, man, wish we could have had a couple back. I mean, to your point earlier, TC still lost by 5. So it's like, it's not like it was necessarily a shot here or shot there, but he still did, even without, I don't know, that was what, his C- game, something.
Probably.
I was gonna say he hit his
and
irons
he
well today, like
still like
kind of on
it-
the weekend, but he wasn't in gear the first 2 days, tee to green either.
And
You know?
for how far back he finished, I mean, it was still like, I would like to see what happens on this tee shot on the 72nd hole of the tournament. Like, I'm not out of it yet, you know? And that's just, I don't know. It's fun to have a guy like that.
Yeah.
It's
I will
funny,
say one of the
his-
first times we've seen him have to play in like conditions, and I thought he held up pretty good. He's obviously was bitchy about the putting and water on the greens and things like that, but he was able to
What'd he say?
control like irons and wedges into these greens a lot better. He's just not hitting his spots.
What did he bitch
Yeah.
about? I didn't see that. I
was
saw
just a little-
I saw the quote that he said it. Somebody asked about the conditions. He said it's an outdoor sport.
I think
No,
he was a
meaning
little
that
hot
just-
about the casual water, like night.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That probably brings us to Sam Burns.
Well,
I would
so yeah,
say.
real quick on that front too. I saw JT was like, it looks unplayable out there right now, and like it wasn't unplayable. It was playable, and they played in it. And JJ Spaun shot under par on the back. Like he shot what 32 on the back, so it was extremely playable.
For the record, his quote was, "This course is looking a little questionable to play right now."
Okay,
Just for-
borderline unplay. And then he said afterward he had a reply to that too. In there.
Is this a part in the
Why?
live show where we take a break and talk about the 2008 U.S. Open? Just to put
Oh,
it on pause
God.
there for a little bit?
Don't even like
Or Sam Burns?
knows. All right, Sam Burns. Let's talk Sam Burns. I think 78 didn't feel like a 78. Right in the mix, and then everybody's going to talk about the double ruling denial there, which again, these are the same rules officials that we have like week to week. Like PGA Tour guys also do stuff for the USGA during this tournament.
Yeah, I don't know if there's not a it's not entirely a cadre of just big bad mean USGA rules officials that get held in the cooler all for 51 weeks a year and then only let out to give very hard rulings. It is a lot of
they also write the rules.
Right. So just to set it up a little bit, we're on the 15th hole. Sam Burns asks for relief from I want to say casual water, temporary water. What's the new word?
The fairway on 15 tilts severely left to right, and he drives it literally all the way over on the edge of the right fairway. The lowest possible point of the 15th fairway is important context, I believe. But the word it is called temporary water now and not casual water, I believe.
And he's taking practice swings. You can see a big, massive splash of water just below the surface that he's trying to get relief from. Calls a rules official. They say no. Waits, a couple more practice swings, is still going, calls for a second opinion. That second rules official comes over, looks at the same thing, gives the exact same ruling pretty quickly, it seemed like, at least from the TV. He kind of locks in, tries to hit a shot, hits a pretty nasty pull that almost looked like a mud ball that kind of, wounded duck left, and ends up making a double. And I mean, that was kind of sayonara at that point. But Cody, what you have the video from Porter from the location?
Okay, I feel like Johnson Wagner out here, but just wanted to show where Sam Burns' stance and ball was whenever he hit into the 15th hole here. So here we go. Okay, this is Sam Burns' stance in the 15. You can see a little bit of water where his stance is, but the real water is right here where the ball would have been. A ton of water right there.
Again, this could be half an hour later. Like you said, Solly, important
like
context.
30 seconds afterwards.
Everything drains down to that.
After.
No, this one, the one that he did earlier.
The first one was worse. The first video was worse.
But I think that this was part of the test that Sam Burns needed to pass. He hit a clunky, terrible golf shot. And then he was just like stick a fork in him after that. And like this was the short answer part of the USGA test, and he failed it. He failed it with just like didn't even write anything down on the test.
If that is how the temporary water rule works, any tournament in the history of my career that I've ever played in that has had temporary water, I think I need to retroactively withdraw. If I've ever taken temporary water relief, I've taken it from
Does it throw your entire career into question?
Potentially, yeah, potentially.
Wow.
I saw that video and I was just like, I truly do not understand this rule, and I still don't think I do. If that's not temporary water, like I know you got a visible water on the surface, whereas ball was. I do not know how that was not visible water on the surface like that. I mean, it very clearly affected the shot. I just don't know why we have that rule if that is not how it's interpreted.
It's kind
it just takes more water.
I think I'm gonna fence it here, I guess, because I did try to read the rule. Solly, I'm with you. Where like when I first saw it, I was like, oh shit, like that's kind of the rule I've played my whole life. Maybe I misunderstood it. I tried to read the rule. I'm trying to, it's very hard to pick up in a rule book just how that's supposed to be enforced, which is where I'm kind of also like, shout out to the what is it? Unify, Showcase, Govern. I forget what the A is. Advance. But yeah. It's kind of where I'm like, dude, there's two rules officials that were literally standing right there that got called in independently and both immediately came to the same ruling. I'm like, they probably have a better view of it than I do. So I'm with you, Solly, that I'm like, maybe I woefully misunderstood this. I think it would be impossible to not attribute 99% of the flight of that golf ball to the water. I
think it's bad assessment of the
wasn't
situation.
Submerged. There was a little bit of water under the golf ball, under the blades of grass, and I think that was karma for Burns refusing to play earlier on
number 8
before the delay as well.
Which I guess to your point, TC, again, I'm not standing there, so who knows? Maybe this is what he was trying to do, and he just got not even mudballed, waterballed. I don't know what you would call it, but maybe you make the case that he obviously knows the water's there. Maybe you try to hit a different shot. Maybe you don't try to force the same thing hole high and hit it left in the shit, like taking on those bunkers and in that horrible rough where he left one in the rough. Like maybe you just play something to the fairway. That if you don't know what the ball's going to do and you can't predict it, like maybe that's not the time to try to, force the game plan. I don't know. That's all very armchair from watching on TV.
Which indeed, maybe if we there's supposed to be commentators that can tell us what's going on, that that they didn't really have much to say on this situation either.
It was a little disappointing to not have. I mean, I know they were trying to get some of the rules officials in there, but it seemed like, and apologies if I am misremembering or didn't notice like a second callback, but they brought in the rules official who was kind of like clarifying things into the broadcast, and they were like, hey, it looks like he's looking for a second opinion. What's he looking for? And they're like, well, he's got water, and so he's looking for a second opinion. They're like, all right, thanks. And then there was no like, so can you explain this rule? Why did he not get relief?
Or Kisner,
why did he have to force, like, why did he have to hit that shot? A lot of people at home are probably confused. I don't know that they really did that justice. So then of course everybody kind of loses their mind, and I think that's how a lot of this stuff ends up spiraling.
I just struggle with the whole like the golf course is wet thing. Like I pride myself on being like a generational mudder, and then when it stops raining, I start playing like shit. But like those tee boxes were soaked. Like like water was coming off of the tee boxes. Like that's just that it fucking rained a lot, and that's the deal. And you got to deal with it, and you got to adjust your game plan, and you got to adjust your shot making.
I think that is the deal, but it's also written in the rules that if your ball or your stance is in temporary water, you get to move it. Like that's where I'm like,
but I don't. Nobody knows the water was high enough.
People that were out there.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I trust those two rules officials.
The karma thing, really quick, is that you guys know from being inside the ropes at enough of these events, like there's so many people following each group. It's very clear that somebody told that group, hey, we don't know if they're going to blow it now, but it's getting worse. Be prepared to seek shelter. Like he wasn't just out there delaying and delaying, sitting there for like 10 minutes. Like he clearly was delaying. He was going fiddling with his glove, wiping things down, just waiting for it because they obviously were told that. But quick quote from you guys from Sam Burns. On 15, the ruling, can you go through what you saw? Said, yeah, that fairway slopes left to right. That's kind of the low part of the fairway there. When I walked into it, clearly you could see water coming up. Took practice swings, and it's just water splashing every single time. Called the rules official over. They disagreed. I looked at it again. I thought maybe I should get a second opinion here. That rules official also disagreed. At the end of the day, it's not up to me. It's up to the rules official. That's kind of that.
Good. That's a good answer from him. I mean,
high road.
Yeah. I appreciate that from Sam. I don't think you can place a bunch of weight and then wait for the water to come up too. Like it's got to just be.
I think the wording's like in your stance. If there's water,
like a natural stance, like a neutral.
Yeah, if you're in your stance and there's water showing out the sides, which
I didn't
looked
see
like that from Porter when Porter was doing. I don't know. I
go back and watch it. I didn't see that at all in Porter's.
I
saw it in the divot. That was that. I saw it in Sam's divot after the fact.
So that's the other part is the ball sitting in temporary water. It was like I would also like look at the grass there and say that that's water on top of that surface. Is what I don't know. You take the practice swing and you also see all the water fly. You're not even taking a divot to get it. Like it's clearly resting on top of the surface of it. That's not part of what went into the ruling, I don't think. But I don't know why the rule exists at all if that is not included, if that lie is not included in it. But
I think there's going to be
you just need
hella eloquent rules officials who are going to explain this thing to the bejesus belt after this tournament. So I don't know. I'm kind of a little bit of a where did it cross?
Two different PGA Tour players that were like that wouldn't have been casual water in a PGA Tour event even.
And I was like, okay, when I saw the TV version and then seeing like Porter's version of it, I'm like, whoa, holy shit, man. Like that is so much water. Like, I don't know. I'm not there in person to see it.
Calls your entire career into question then.
Totally.
You know?
Yeah.
God, it would be sick if you had a Wikipedia page that we could just go in and be like DQ on all of them retroactively.
We keep going. Yeah.
A couple more. Who else
Ben
we got?
Griffin, Solly, it continues. T10. Ben Griffin just continues to flash. Russell Henley.
Randy, that would have been in our Randy, like what does this person need to do to get an A? I got to think he would have thought Ben Griffin top 10, I think that would have been an A for Ben Griffin this week.
Amen.
3 rounds of 71 or better this week.
Yeah.
Just had the one tough round 3, and really just one tough finishing stretch there in round 3.
Russ Henley, T10, just really, really steady golf.
Tough.
70, 72, 71. He lost strokes off the tee for the week. Hit his irons well. Just really solid across the board. Once he got off the tee. Some signs of life from Xander, T12.
Has the app been updated, Solly?
Oh, it hadn't as of Friday, but I'll check right now.
There could be
making me want a Johnny Pop.
There could be an explainer of God. I got deep on the Johnny Pops. We could take that offline. Maybe to the draft.
Latest news. He did an interview at the PGA Championship May 16th. That's the latest news in the app. Unfortunately,
I was hoping there'd be a rules explainer in there. That would be good content for the Xander app. Here's why. Here's why he didn't get relief.
Brooks hung around more than I thought he was going to.
Good round today. T12. 1 over.
Yeah. Chris Kirk, T12. I don't think I saw him hit a single shot this week. Bez.
Yeah.
T12.
How about Bez finished tied with Adam Scott this week after we spent all that time with Adam Scott last night?
How about that?
What else? We got RNP, Rasmus Niergaard Peterson, T12. We'll take that. 74 today. Bad double on 9. Overall didn't putt it great. Wasn't great off the tee, but we gotta like what we saw out of RNP this week after put him on the team 4 to 6 weeks ago, and he follows it up with this. It's sick.
Congratulations.
So, thank you. And I guess LD and McGinley were glazing him a little bit on Sky coverage too. So
that's how it begins.
Yeah, Tristan Lawrence, T12, and then Adam Scott.
75 today for Tristan Lawrence. Could have used that yesterday in my predictions in the envelope, but alas.
So
any thoughts on Adam Scott and his 79 today? I didn't know. I knew it wasn't a guarantee that he was going to go kick the door down and get it done, but man, I didn't really see 79 either. That was a bummer.
I think it's maybe a little bit misleading. Like from 14 onward, he kind of just hit the skids. He was what, 5 over on his last 5. So
did not have the same vibes coming out of the delay that JJ Spaun had.
Yeah,
he was +1 standing on 14T, and
I do think Adam Scott is T12 and Rory McIlroy is the next name on the board, and I think it gets washed over a little bit how much Adam Scott has done on the PGA Tour front from a PAC board member, CEO search committee, all of that, and he's done it with aplomb, and he's done it with just a happy heart, and I don't know. I'll just say that he's been in a shitload of meetings over the last 2, 3, 4 years since this shitstorm started. And he's just been steady Eddie, and he's done it with a smile on his face. And he seems like everybody in the golf world likes him, both PGA Tour guys and live guys, despite him being in that role. And I think that's a pretty admirable thing. So,
yeah, it kind of goes to some of what we were saying yesterday, just even about grinding hard and trying to put himself in more positions, which a lot of people were. I saw some flack that I was treating him like he was 65 years old contending in the major. I was like, well, he
4 years old.
He would be the second oldest U.S. Open winner ever, and it's the 125th U.S. I think I've got some stable ground.
And the game's gotten younger than ever.
Yeah, but my point stands that he doesn't really need to be doing that stuff, and he really doesn't need to be doing all the business stuff and the back end stuff that you're referencing. So full agreement there. TC, I did want to talk to you. Of course, it's Father's Day today. You were watching the G with your young son, Freddie. I was curious if he had any takes, anything that came out of his mouth that really surprised you guys. He was out on. What do you think of the course? What were his thoughts?
He was rooting for Burns all day, which is weird. I don't know where that came from. Yeah, he was like, man, it's really wet out there. He had his PGA Tour, or he had his PGA Junior League yesterday. Shout out to the 31,000 out on the Valley course at TPC Sawgrass. He didn't play great.
That's so hard.
He made
hard.
about
the Oakmont of PGA Junior League.
It's like he had a 15-footer for birdie that he made. That was kind of the lone highlight. But I think he's hooked, man. I think he's certainly wasn't one of those U.S. Opens that I thought it was going to be, where it's dusty and the layers of people out there and all of that. Like, that didn't really come to fruition, at least the last 2 days, just due to weather and NBC and a variety of factors. But He really liked it. It's just one of those things where like his frame of reference right now is like JJ Spawn's a top 3 player in the world.
What would that have been for us as kids? Like what result would it have been? I guess like Corey
I
Pavin
remember when
winning the US
Steve
Open.
Jones won the US
Yeah.
Open. Yeah. And I was like, who the fuck's this guy?
Right about the same age, yeah.
God, that's a really good question. I
yeah,
mean,
but yeah,
Steve
8 years
Houston
old.
legitimately won 2 of them, but he was like, oh my God, this guy is one of the greatest players that's ever lived. Retief
Yeah.
Houston, I think was
8 years
pretty high
old,
up
like
there.
94. That would have been 94, 95 kind of for us. So
Randy's submitting John Houston into the record. It's an all-timer. That's a good question.
So yeah, that was kind of his MO. But yeah, he's like, hey, can we go to the range this week? Yeah, let's go to the range this week. Like, it's cool. So he was bummed about Rory, although Rory shot 67 today. Strong performance from him. He's playing Travelers this week, I guess. Flying home and then going back up to Travelers on Tuesday. I don't think we need to talk a bunch of Rory tonight. I think we've belabored that and everybody's got some Rory fatigue. Foxy, Solly, anything you want to say there?
Another great week. I love it. He's my guy. Big
Okay,
Foxy
good.
fan.
Yeah.
T19.
Welcome to the foxhole. Good to have you.
Victor Perez, Grillo, both T19. Morikawa and Reed, similar weeks. Morikawa, Reed, Spieth, all tied at +8.
My giraffe call was 2 strokes off. I thought Spieth would top 15. He finished 2 shots outside the top 15.
Signs of life. Continued. The pulse continues. But
yeah.
TC, anything else?
We had a Tom Kim sighting down the stretch. T33 there. We had JT Post, another made cut for him in a major. Keegan made the cut as well. Played well. 74 today, but he's trending well. Want to give a shout out to Leash. 77 today, but I really hope Leash plays Portrush. I hope he can qualify in there because I think he's playing some really good golf right now.
Andrew Novak, 71, 73, 72 after Solly buried him in the opening round.
Yeah, and I think he's got a rib injury going, Solly. So, just
What TC
keep
just
that in
give him
mind.
past Aaron? When do we start talking about Aaron Rye for the Ryder Cup team for Team Europe?
I don't think we're even close to that yet.
Okay, they're about the same. He and Keegan are like same rank strokes gained on the U.S. side,
Okay.
so I just figured you would want to apply that.
Yeah, I don't think Aaron has any Ryder Cup experience or anything like that either. And he's not. He's also not going to be there anyway. And then I think Chris Goddard earned a shout out for me. T23, 74 today, but +8 overall. Couple of bookend 69s, round 2 and 3. Goddard's a proper player. I think he's an elite iron player, and I'm looking for more out of him over the remainder of this year. So
I'll shout out Nick Taylor. Weirdly, I feel like that's I was looking at this. I'm like, that's got to be his best performance in a major, and I think I was right. He has had a horrific major record. Never finished better than T29 with a ton of miscuts. So good for him.
Deej, do you have any concerns about the Rasmus bet?
Yeah, a little bit. I may have bet on the wrong Rasmus. I have Rasmus Højgaard. TC's got all other Rasmuses,
all
future. Exactly. So yeah, I wasn't totally familiar with RNP and his profile. I don't think when I made that bet, but I think Rasmus Højgaard. I'll still dance with the one that brought me. I think he's still giving me as good a chance as any other.
Question on Goddard real quick, TC. Is he an elite iron player in the same vein that Ryan Gerard is one of the hottest players in the world?
No.
Okay. I mean, Ryan Gerard had a pretty good week. Well, Ryan Gerard was one of the hottest players in the world. No, I'll tell you who Goddard reminds me of. Somebody said it in the comments, and I wholeheartedly agree. Brooks Koepka. I think he's like just physique, and I don't know, they're both Nike guys, but just generally speaking, he's got kind of that same. He's a little bit more wayward off the tee, I think. But I don't know. I think he's got kind of that same mentality of like he's a fucking athlete, and he's kind of a bulldog. So
just for the listeners at home that don't have the numbers in front of them, he's 100th in strokes gained approach over the last 6 months.
That's fine. I don't think he's played his best golf. Like I'm just saying, like,
again, just if
portend
somebody's
something to
listening and thinks
come.
he's a top 10 iron player, just stating that, just reading it into the record.
Okay. Yeah.
We still know by what metric.
Yeah, can't be better
by
than
your metrics
than what your stats have been thus far in your career. So.
Well, TC, we'll get you out of here. We'll keep this this third chair rotation going. Before we do,
Yeah.
anything to say about the Wyndham Clark of it all? We had some reporting from the desk of Tron Carter about a couple of historic lockers. They look like historic lockers. I don't actually know what these lockers are. Destroyed in the Oakmont clubhouse. Just a tough look for the 2023 champion. Any additional thoughts here?
No, I mean, I don't know. Tweeted it out. It was pretty cut and dry. Like, I guess the guy whose locker it is, not happy. A lot of Oakmont members not happy. USGA people not happy. Caddies and players, like, heard from a lot of them, not happy. This is not a new thing. I'm told he there may have been some other damage this week as well, away from Oakmont. And I think after what happened at Quail Hollow, where he, basically like endangered a volunteer, and then I guess he was freaking out on the range on Monday and Tuesday this week, dressing down USGA volunteers. And then, he had his outburst on Saturday before this thing. It's just, like, the whole thing is just like, dude, just grow up, man. Like, just grow up. And like you're at one of the oldest, coolest golf courses in the entire country, if not the entire world. And you go in and you're a guest of the place. Like, even if you're playing in the national championship, and you're a guest of the place, that this place has opened their doors to the best players in the world and shut down their golf course for months at a time from their membership. And you go in and, like, they have like one of the coolest locker rooms I've ever been in anywhere. It's the original stuff. Like, Bobby Jones changed his shoes on those benches, and they've got little storage things like from during Prohibition, where like you could keep your booze in there. Like, it's like a living museum. And so for him to go in there and do that, and then leave it, like, to do that is one thing, to leave it like that on the back end just shows a complete lack of care and consideration of, like, not even trying to, oh, you know what, I'm sorry or whatever. So I think that's just, based on a lot of things, I think that tells you what you need to know about him. And I don't really care what he's going through on or off the golf course. Like, if that's the state of mind that you're in, just don't show up for the US Open, man. If you can't handle what's going on inside the ropes and leave that inside the ropes, then, like, go get right. Like, go get yourself right and work with the sports psychologist or whatever. Like, obviously, mental health is an important thing, but otherwise, like, don't rock up. It's just as simple as that. So,
yeah, it's I almost feel like tantrums at the US Open are like the least welcome of any tournament ever. Like, if you don't come into that week knowing it's going to be hard as fuck, and that you need to be able to take things thrown at you and take it in stride and battle back, like that being the whole point. You're a champion of this event. Like, you should know that. I know LACC was not difficult, but like, that's what this event is supposed to do to you. That's where, like, that's the part where I'm like, dude, something's not right here. Something's really not right. I'm with you on, like, you probably shouldn't be here if you're in this state of mind and you're acting this way. And I honestly, I think about, like, anytime I've ever, like, taken a swipe at something at the ground and, like, done damage, I'm like, fuck, all right, I got to go repair. Like, your instinct is like, I got to fix this. If I accidentally like bumped into somebody's locker and dented it, I'd be in there, like, with a plunger trying to suction the dent out of it and leave it better than you found it. Like, it's just so completely ridiculous to leave any golf course, much less like a members club, anywhere. If you go do that, you just, like, literally the name of the game is you're supposed to leave the place better than you found it. And dude, that's just undefendable. It's, like, truly some of the worst behavior I've seen from a pro.
Yeah. And from a recent past champ as well, of, it's like, dude, just be better, So it was very interesting to get aggregated by, this happens once, a couple times a year, 2 or 3 times a year, the nuclear boys and all the Zaire golf and all that stuff, to get aggregated by them. And then your mentions just turn into, like, an absolute cesspool. It's
Might
just
be
a
worried for our
crazy-
society, TC. It's tough out there.
Well, listen, we'll get you out of here to go deal with that.
Hey, will you get Randy all riled up about?
Of course.
I thought the broadcast stunk, and I thought that they did not do a good job of. They could have front loaded a bunch of commercials during and right after the rain delay. They got way behind. The commentary is pretty rudderless, and I don't even think it's any of the guys in the booth's fault. I think they're all just not being set up for success. They had some good drone tracers today and yesterday, but overall, I think that was not Tommy Roy's best performance, and I think he needs to be kind of called to account. So,
well, TC, thanks for being here all week. Shout out to just an outstanding week at the U.S. Open. I know you enjoyed it, and it's good having you here. So, enjoy the rest of your weekend. We will catch you next time. Solly, who are we going to hear from next?
Yeah, we were going to try to time this up live, but figured it was going to be. We had a lot of moving parts with the show, anyway. So called up our good friend Michael Kim. He had great thoughts on Oakmont on the X, the Everything app, all week long. He's a great follow there, and just want to talk with somebody who experienced Oakmont this week and just ask him a couple questions about it. A little 5-minute hit here, but our friend of the program, Michael Kim. 4 days at Oakmont, not 2 days, 4 days, made cut, played the weekend. What's the test of Oakmont like? We've been talking about it all week, but this is going to sound a lot different and hopefully a lot better coming from your mouth.
It's I mean it's just really hard. I mean, the crazy thing about it, like the golf course is about as easy as I think, other than like maybe like if they cut the rough or something, but as US Open Oakmont goes, it was as easy of a golf course, easy condition that we could have had. Like fairways were rolling, we didn't get any mud balls. Greens were in general really soft the entire week. I could, especially today on Sunday, you could land it near the pin and stop it. If it was firm, like I can't imagine playing this place. Leading up, like I would ask some of the guys that played in 2007 and 16, like, what their experiences were. And in 2007, when it was firm, like you'd be asking about them, like Adam Scott, and it's like they're recounting like horror stories. Like, oh my gosh, like the first green was unhittable. Like on 10, they'd hit like 6 and 5 iron and still go run through the fairway. So
Jeez.
it was an unbelievable test. Like, weirdly enough, you felt like you could still like make a few birdies here and there if you hit the shots. If you hit the correct shots, like you had wedges in here and there, so it never just felt like a really hard test, but it never felt like impossible.
What's something that maybe doesn't show up on TV that you experience? Something about Oakmont that kind of stands out that you'll remember if you're storing it away for the next U.S. Open at Oakmont. Something you'll remember.
Think just the like 1 and 10, I think, stand out because I feel like I don't see that many like front to back greens in the severity that it is front to back. Just even like a 60-yard, like I would hit it in the rough and I would punch out, and I had this like 60-yard wedge shot on the first hole, and I have no idea like whether to putt it or like how far short I'm trying to land it. And then like, all right, if I hit this too hard, it could easily go over the green. Just 1 in 10, I think, stand out the most because those front to back greens and how severe it is something I feel like I haven't seen on any other golf course.
Where does Oakmont rank in terms of hardest golf courses you've played?
I mean, it's easily number one. Like I said, just the fact that the greens were soft and it was like this. I played in 2013. I played Marion, but it's kind of that funny. Like Zach Johnson, like feels manipulated. Like I don't know if I got like the true Marion experience. Like they moved fairways like closer to OB. Like I don't know if I truly played Marion the way it was designed. But Oakmont, it's that quote, like we can host the US Open like next week if we wanted. Like it's like a legit thing. Like it's the hardest golf course I've played. the rank probably goes like here, 2013 Marion, and actually this year at Muirfield Village. That was really hard test. It was windy. 12 is still the hardest hole in the world. So those three are the ones that really come to mind.
What was your, I don't want to say low light, because for us, it's usually, that's a high, those are highlights for us. What was your welcome to the US Open? What was your worst US Open? Like, this is the tournament I'm playing. Your worst moment this week?
Like Saturday, I was on 14 and I was trying to, those bunkers, those lips are really, they're not gradual. They, what do you call, they're really aggressive in the front part. And I was trying to hit the front edge of the green. I had like 90 yards to the front. I felt like I could, squeeze like a sandwich up there, and I caught it a little thin, and it just shot into the bank, plugged, which actually is lucky that it was plugged. But I was like, oh my gosh, I might make triple if I if I don't get careful. But somehow I came away with a bogey. But that one and the first hole, hit a really nice tee shot on one, and hit I chunked like a wedge, and I had like a 30-yard chip, and I just played the speed of the slope completely wrong, blew it by like 35 feet, almost went off the green. So those two, yeah, I'll remember.
Those moments were definitely out there. We watched pretty much everybody do that this week, but appreciate your time as always. Congrats on the week. Made cut. It's just a heck of a test to watch, and appreciate you dropping some knowledge on us tonight.
You got it.
Good stuff, Solly. Thanks to Michael Kim for hopping on. I love a couple things I want to take away from that. The war stories about 07 is good stuff. Like just him describing, people's faces just getting pale and talking about the how hard that was that week. That's great. And then two, I'm going to add this in my notebook of cliches, and I know our next guest is going to join me here, is that club. I mean, they could host the US Open tomorrow. Like I think Oakmont, that might be the only place on earth where that's actually true. But I do love that as a just golf cliche. So the guy,
there's a big difference. Sorry, there's just a big difference. Exactly what he said about Marion, about like needing to take. I've played Marion and didn't walk away being like, oh my God, that's the hardest golf course I've ever played. Yeah. And I think 1 or 2 over 1 at Marion, like what he said there about like what they have to do to that golf course to get it ready. And it feels artificial during that tournament week. And that's the thing about Oakmont. It's like, no, this place just is born for the United States Open. That is what this place should not exist if not for this tournament. I honestly believe that.
Well, speaking of a guy that's born for the United States Open, let's bring in my guy, Big Randy, who I know had a good day today. Big, how would you sum it up, man? What was the glee that you were feeling on that back nine post rain delay?
You guys have seen, well, DJ, I know you have. You've seen the movie Boondock Saints when Willem Dafoe, when the bullets are flying and he's just,
there was a firefight.
Oh my God, when we were just seeing carnage out the ass. God, that was good, guys. I know Neil hit on it, but man, that's a US Open. That is a US Open that we got today. I don't know how you can't like that. I was extremely happy.
This weird freedom of like, other than like Hatton, nobody I'm like rooting against, and also nobody I'm really riding for, that I just truly felt like, just fuck me up, man. Like, I'm just gonna enjoy the shit out of this. Yeah,
man. Coming up through the years when like Mickelson was the guy rooting down, like that'll put some miles on you, man. Like I got scar tissue, but I'm with you, Solly. Today I'm just like, nah, come on, let's bring it on, boys. Get out there and play. Conditties are what they are.
I don't know. This is maybe a hard question to answer, but what do you ascribe it to, Randy? How much was conditions? How much was Oakmont? How much was the field? How much was the situation? You know what I mean? Like, how do you kind of divvy up that pie?
I honestly think we're probably looking at, I think a lot of it was 4th round of a US Open and Oakmont being specifically just a very difficult test. I shudder to think, I truly think had we gotten a great spring and this course was firm and played exactly how they would have wanted it. I mean, I don't know. You guys tell me, what do you think the winning scores would have been? I truly think it could have been another Angel Cabrera, like 5 over winning it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we saw that in the final group. We talked about it at the end of the show yesterday. The 2 prior 54-hole leaders at Oakmont, one had shot 80, one had shot 76. You have Sam Burns now shooting a 78. So, like, over the last 3 opens at Oakmont, the average of the 54-hole leader in round 4 is 78. I just think when you combine the pressure of trying to win a major with a course that can just, God, you get a little bit offline and then you start to lose confidence. It just, you can see guys in a blender. And I to me, like, I do love that. I do love watching guys in a blender. I mean, you saw JJ Spaun in a blender before the rain delay. And I know you guys have talked about it, but, like, man, it's so impressive what he was able to do, regroup, take some time, and then come back out afterwards and win the tournament.
I think the only thing on that I'll repeat myself from, if you haven't been listening all week, is that can be pretty boring for the first, like, 54 holes, and where you're just flying all over the golf course and it's kind of hard to tell what's what, and just watching guys punch out is not, on a Thursday or Friday is not that exciting. But man, once the context locks in and it started out as it's going to be one of these 4 guys, and then all of a sudden it's going to be one of these 12 guys. And once those shots, like, feel like they actually have context to the larger tournament, man, it's hard to beat. That is, like, it's just, I had a blast watching every shot, whether it was great, whether it was punching out, whether it was right on the edge. I mean, it was fantastic, man.
Yeah, I know. It was I don't know. This is like the 3rd Oakmont US Open now that I can, like, really experience and remember and know, and I'm so glad it exists. I'm so glad it's an anchor site. I cannot wait till 2033. I mentioned yesterday too, like, Shinnecock. Like, to me, those are the 2 where we can get golf like this, and it just, like, that's the only time we really get it. So I just really loved it.
Well, Randy, a segment we always do on these major Sundays is the SurfPro mulligan. SurfPro, of course, the #1 brand in cleanup and restoration, is known for making any mess like it never even happened. Let's make it like an award tonight. What do you want to award the SurfPro mulligan to?
I mean, it's the rain delay, right? But it's what JJ Spaun did. It was his ability to use that break to his advantage, to erase the front 940, and to make that like it never even happened, to use the tagline. I wanted to draw this comparison. I know there are some tennis fans listening. I don't know if anybody was deep in the French Open coverage of the last few weeks, but Andre Agassi tells a story. When he won the French Open in 1999, he was getting blitzed through 2 sets. I mean, I think he lost the first 2 sets in like 47 minutes to Andre Medvedev. And this rain delay came, right? And he tells the full story. You can YouTube it. He obviously is going to tell it better than I can. But he goes into the locker room. His coach, Brad Gilbert's in there. And Brad just starts, like, tearing the paint off the walls. And as Andre says, like, this was very out of character for Brad Gilbert to yell at me like this. And Agassi, something clicked for him during that delay. Like, without that rain delay, Andre Agassi does not win the French Open. And I truly believe without the rain delay today, JJ Spaun is not the US Open champion. And so, man, I SurfPro mulligan, like, I think, to his credit, JJ Spaun used the delay, and whatever he did, I hope we get a fuller story, and he really walks us through his time spent back in the locker room or wherever he went. But I think like, tennis folks remember that weather delay in 99 at Roland Garros. I think we'll always kind of remember the weather delay here in 2025 at Oakmont as, like, that played a big part for JJ Spaun. And kudos to him, because it wasn't like it crowned him. I think he used it to, whatever he did, it worked. So,
Well, there you go. So shout out to ServPro. Over 2,200 locations nationwide, faster to any size disaster, US Open size disaster. Visit ServPro.
If you've gone out in 40 and
Yeah.
you're like, what, 6-7 off the lead, give ServPro a call.
Give them a call, 1-800-ServPro. Visit ServPro.com today. Solid, where do you want to go next?
I'm curious to get Randy's take on this. We played this game Friday night, and forgive me if we did any of this last night, Randy. I honestly I never can keep my brain straight on any U.S. Open weeks, but just can go quickly. We don't have to do all these, but we did Oakmont versus other recent and future U.S. Open venues, and I just want your pick, Oakmont or you fill in the blank here.
Not to ruin the game. It's Oakmont. It's
all of them. Number one.
This is yeah.
Over Pebble Beach.
I mean, easy.
Okay. Shinnecock.
If they lose the greens at Shinnecock, we have a conversation. But I don't think that's going to happen again.
Pinehurst. That happens.
Pinehurst was super fun last year. I think as I said yesterday, it's a nice counterbalance to what Oakmont offers. But if it's just like, hey man, you get one U.S. Open, I'm taking Oakmont.
It's not going to be Brookline. It's not going to be Torrey. It's not going to be Winged Foot. No. It's not going to be Aaron Hills or Chambers. Then Marion.
I think Michael made a great point. I thought he said it better than I could. They had to trick up the golf course. I appreciated how hard it played, but I do understand
it's unnatural.
That was a bit of an artificial test.
Riv, we haven't seen in U.S. Open, but I know it's one of your favorite courses, so that might be interesting.
Yeah.
Anyways, Oakland Hills and LACC, I don't even think are getting nominated, so that's a quick game. But no, I appreciate the conviction with that answer.
I just think. I don't know. It's become synonymous with what I believe the U.S. Open should be. I think it's Oakmont.
Well, a lot of the reason is because of the high scores, the carnage, which you reflected beautifully like a true scholar in your proper test index that we've been talking about all week. Final check, big guy. How did we do? I don't think we're one dotting anymore. But
no, we're not one dotting.
It was a hell of a week.
It was a hell of a run. Good sweat. We final tally was only one round in the 80s today, which brings our week total to 32. Counterbalance that with 36 rounds in the 80s. That's a PTI this year at 0.89. It's going to look strong though amongst this couple decade run
in this era.
In this era, if you're one dot, that's again, just to reiterate. 2007 Oakmont U.S. Open had a PTI of 7.5. Like you don't realize when you're in the good old days. Like that's a lesson, right?
Well, let's linger on it then a little bit. Let's get specific. You're known for your thrills and delights, your thrills and dills. What'd you have from today?
I mentioned the final group. I was a bit early. I was one day early on the final group, putting up a over 150 final score. But yeah, man, something about that Burns 78.
God,
Scott,
a lot
79.
of our predictions today would have they were one day early. They would have played after that final round.
That's comfort food for me, man. So that was thrilling and delighting. I feel bad. I'm going to reiterate some stuff, but it was a total examination. TC called it. I thought Sam Burns, whether he should have gotten a drop, should not have gotten a drop. I think if you want to be a U.S. Open champion, like you got to make bogey there at worst, put it behind you and go hit some shots down the stretch. He completely folded. I'm sorry that happened to Sam Burns, but whoever it would have been, like that was delightful for me. Tierrell got, was in the blender a little bit. I like those rules officials like sticking up for themselves. So I'm going to come down on that side. I don't think that's, shocking to anybody, but that was thrilling and delighting. And my last thrill and delight, guys, I know it is a U.S. Open. I think it is cool. You look at the top 12, it's a big top 12 and ties. You have 9 different countries represented on that leaderboard. And I think that's great for the global game of golf.
Global game. That's
yeah.
Right. Well said. What did you think of the coverage? TC was poking at us to get you all riled up, to get you mad as hell. I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but we haven't really talked a lot of coverage yet.
Great. I mean, as soon as they went to 2008 Tiger at Torrey, I was like, oh my God, I miss Johnny and Roger.
Oh.
I just immediately that stood out to me. Poor Kiz. I don't think Kiz is very good. I truly don't think Kiz says much that isn't quite obvious. I didn't think it was his best week. I think they just have too many voices. I'm truly at a loss how they can't zero in on like one person. Deej, we were talking about it in Slack. Like, if you have Brandel in that chair, love him or hate him, he's going to have like super strong opinions. And he's going to give stuff to think about and react to. I thought it would have been a much more interesting broadcast with him involved. And if it's not Brandel, like, who else could that be? I don't know, but I just think we got to have somebody giving us a bit more. And man, I don't know. I miss Johnny Miller on a Sunday at Oakmont. I just thought it was very apparent. They have not really filled that.
Yeah. I feel a little bad for NBC in that I don't think there's an heir apparent to, there hasn't been really. Azinger was a guy for a while, and that,
well, he's left-handed and he's playing on live. That's the big shame of it.
That's exactly right. And
yeah.
I don't know if that was a dynasty plan that didn't quite work out the way that they thought it was going to, but it's tough, man. And what kind of hit me today, and this isn't a shot at Kisner even, is it's that US Open chair, and maybe this is just the Johnny Miller of it all and the legacy of that and all the memories I have of watching that, which all kind of came flooding back, both with, the 63 and then literally having him on the broadcast and all the flashbacks and all. Like, it was a lot of reminders of how much I loved Johnny this week. But that lead chair for the US Open should be one of the biggest seats in the game.
Absolutely.
And
absolutely,
Kisner has played. He's played what, 4 PGA Tour events in the last 2 months. It's like, this is not his full-time job, and so of course it's not going to feel like it's his full-time job, because it's not. And so that's just more of an NBC problem, I think, than it is a Kisner problem. Like that, he doesn't have the reps. He doesn't have certainly doesn't have kind of the gravitas of the guy who shot 63 at Oakmont and is willing to talk about it and draw on personal, it's just it's a tough fit. And I don't know if it's because, like you said, Phil is not available, or they didn't Brandel doesn't want it. Maybe I don't know what the deal is, but it feels like a really tough fit. And that kind of felt like a bummer today.
It's hard because Kiz is really good at talking about golf and has a great personality and is dynamic. Like, he's a really interesting person in interviews and off that. Just not in the TV role. Like, NBC is a different thing than what Kiz is really good at, I think, in terms of what he could bring to something. He'd be good at an alt stream, or like you should be watching golf with just 2 random pros just shooting the shit more than calling the golf.
I wish it's like, give him a bourbon. I want to hear what you really think. I just never. I felt like we never got what Kiv's anything he like. I have to think he had stuff he really wanted to say, or I would hope. Like, I just thought it was all watered down and very vanilla.
Well, I thought that 08 flashback was just interesting, of how many less voices there were, and how there was a booth and there was a bunch of on the ground guys. And granted, we're watching the super cut of all of it, but you just felt like, I just don't, when I'm watching NBC, I don't feel in the moment. I just feel like it's like sensory blitzkrieg, a little bit of it just kind of, it's so scattershot on where they're going. They're not following the flow of a round. And like, Johnny would just, bottom line, like, it's going to be this. Like, this is the problem. This is, if he doesn't make this putt here, it's going to be JJ Spaun. Or like, I just never felt the gravity of the moments prior to any shots. Maybe after JJ hit that shot on 17, sure, but like, they were in commercial for Bob playing the 18th hole, and it just, I don't know.
I think you're exactly right.
Yeah, I don't have like a quick solve for it, but it's not right.
Well, and I think the other weird decision was when the rain delay came. Not that you have to you can eventually cut to like a replay or whatever. I thought it was weird that we didn't get maybe everybody, or we didn't have like the experts just talking about this year's tournament. They were so quick to just like get away from this year in Oakmont, which, to your point, Solly, like, this is the national championship. I'm struggling to think of like another sport where they would just quickly cut to a whole different year, like without any like, hey, this is what's going on, man. Maybe
this is good. Check this out.
Yeah.
if the electricity went out at an NBA finals, or like they had a pyrotechnics issue, like the halftime show is the show of those things. They go to that and talk about everything that's going on.
Yeah.
So I thought that was tough. I also, I'm not, this is critique without knowing a solution, but I wish there was a way to hammer home some of the slopes on the greens better for people like myself that have never truly been there. Like I don't know what the answer is necessarily, but I still don't think I have a great appreciation for what makes these greens so difficult. Besides just the speed, right? We can see the speed usually.
Well, and I think that's
what
what
it was a little lacking there.
I think that's what would really help. And this is I'm trying not to say this, talking out of both sides of my mouth, but for all the stuff that everybody, for all the shit that everybody throws, it's like show more shots, show more shots, show more shots, show more shots. When you get to a course like this, then I'm like, man, I haven't seen it in 7 years, 9 years. Yeah, it's like you actually can like slow down and give me some context a little bit is actually what I need more. I think when we get to Pebble and Sawgrass and Riv and these courses that I know like the back of my hand, I'm like, oh, just show me all the shots. I know what number 2 is. I know what number 12 is. I know what 15 is. Whereas here, I'm like, that's why TC and I were talking about the featured groups, which I thought were awesome because it's like, all right, I can settle in and I can see from shot to shot, from hole to hole, what's stressing these guys out and what happens when you miss the fairway and what that consequence looks like, rather than like, oh, you saw that one 5 minutes ago, we're going to come back later and you're going to maybe remember it or maybe not because you're maybe looking at your phone because who knows. But it's I
think that's a wonderful point, DJ.
I think that ancillary stuff would work a lot better Thursday, Friday
and if you're having trouble kind of fitting it in, hey, you were given a weather delay, like show us, like walk us through the back nine, talk to us exactly the challenge. Like I just feel like there's missed opportunity there. And I will shout out, I was watching the Scheffler feature group. Like they got his whole conversation with the rules official in 15 when Scotty was like, are you all blowing the horn soon? Because if you are, I don't want to hit this shot, but like if this is the way it's going to be, then let's play. I'm happy to hit it. I just need to know. And it was like a whole 5-minute conversation, which you're not getting on the main telecast.
Yeah.
I do want to shout out, I thought Bones and even like Smiley, like Bones is like just an A plus. Like he just tells you what to look out for on a shot, what the elements of it are and all of that. And it just builds anticipation every time. And I think Smiley has gotten in really good in his on course role as well. I think he's just kind of followed the Bones model. And those guys, when they get down there, we get out of the booth and all the noise going on there and down with the people that have looked at the lie and all the considerations, I think that's kind of where I get dug in on anticipation of a shot. And I think that's good content.
I think going back to the Kisner thing just for a second, a couple commenters flagging this, that Kisner's an assistant captain, I believe, for the Ryder Cup. So with him doing that, I don't know what happens with that chair. I don't know if they've made a decision on that or what the game plan is there. But I don't think I'm a voting member of this body, but Team Brandel all the way for me.
Honestly, I don't know. This is not sourced at all. This is me thinking about it for half of a second. I wonder if they've pulled Brandel out of that spot because of the anti-live stuff and being unable to cover the live golfers in competition.
That would be totally fair. That would be a decision I would understand.
One thing on that, they made a big thing last year at Pinehurst about having the 2 separate crews, and Brandel was absolutely a part of that. So you think that feedback coming from at least U.S. Open Pinehurst till now is what changed that decision, Solly?
I don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah.
Because it's an interesting thought, as I think Brandel's kind of toned down. He used to be a lot harsh, and by no means is he moving away from the same talking points. But I think it is something when you look at Ryder Cup with Kiz being out, John Wood, who is on the call, again, he's out. What are they going to do? Is that Noda back?
Gary Koch,
out there? Yeah, true.
I don't know why Gary didn't work the weekend.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
it's not good.
I don't think he solves it, but I think his familiarity of the voice, it gives it some gravitas, I think. But anyways, we can play this all night.
Yeah. Big, we'll get you out of here unless you got anything else. But I was curious, give me a moment, give me a visual that you're gonna draw from. What's the lasting memory of this week at Oakmont?
I mean, Spaun breaking down in tears is pretty strong. I was tickled. You know, the guy makes the winning putt. I believe it's the longest putt anybody made all week. That's pretty unbelievable. Yeah, it's like an amalgamation of the carnage we saw there for like 2 hours, and then capped off by Spaun just like hitting the golf shots he needed to hit and rolling in that putt, and the emotion overtaking him. It was a great ending for a week that I greatly enjoy.
Hear, hear. Well, Big, thanks for crunching the numbers all week, man. It was great having you and the quants working on the PTI, and I look forward to it at our next major.
Appreciate it, boys. Thanks for all you do.
It's the weirdest U.S. Open week that you and I didn't argue about setup at all this week, and I miss it. I kind of miss it a little bit. I hate seeing you so happy.
Well, I think maybe another feather in the cap of Oakmont. Like, is this the one place that can bring us together, Solly?
You know what that U stands for? Unify, man. USGA is unifying the game. Let's swap that third seat. We got one more guy to come in here and close this game out. KVV, the big right-hander.
Craig Kimball.
When KVV comes marching in. When KVV...
Closer.
Throwing heat, guys. Thanks so much for having me.
Kev, great to see you. Congratulations on what I understand was the rare, gross, and net parent-child victory today at the club. Congratulations on that. That sounds like a great way to start the day.
Thank you, Deej. You know I was going to slip that in the end, so thanks for just putting it in at the beginning.
I know. People were looking change up, just hit him with the fastball right away, man.
They're like, hey, he's gonna sneak some sentimental bullshit in about his kid at the end. No, DJ's gonna bring it up.
Yeah.
No, I just thought I have a couple takeaways here, and one is going to be my coldest moment of the week. But my big overall takeaway is I feel like, we didn't get a linger enough on Adam Scott. Is this the end of like Adam Scott contending in majors, and kind of a bummer of a way for it to go out? Didn't drive it really very well all day. It just was kind of out of position a lot, and I wanted so badly for this to be his moment in the sun. Deej, we talked about this a few times like this week. The Adam Scott fits in really well with the Oakmont history of champions. And look, maybe JJ Spaun will grow on me in that list. Hogan, Johnny Miller, Cabrera, DJ, Els, and then JJ Spaun. But Adam Scott really I was already engraving that shit into the trophy there.
I guess
too far to go. It's a long ass tournament. Yeah. Honestly, I love the debut take of rounds 1 and 2 are part 1. Yeah. Saturday is part 2, and Sunday's part 3. Like, we were not very far along in the tournament as of last night. Like, sure. There was like 3 tournaments today, I think.
Yeah, I think that's right. I on the Adam Scott front, I would say 2 things. One, gets to play the Masters forever. That's a golf course that's been kind to the grizzled veterans. And 2, he's played the Open really well. And I know he doesn't, certainly doesn't have a lifetime exemption there, but he has played really well there. It's the same thing we say, mitigates distance a little bit, although he's like the fucking longest player in the world now, based on some of those ball speeds we were seeing today. But a place where he could maybe hang around. Is it going to happen again at the US Open? Who knows? That feels like, probably a last best chance, just if you're playing the odds, but who knows? The game is still in good shape. I mean, it's not like he's getting put out to pasture. It's just things tend to go off a cliff when you.
This is my ball knowers side talking here, but I always think of it as like when you come up close, it's kind of like losing the Super Bowl. It's like just to get back into that position, you have to go through so much shit, and that's like, whatever is training camp. It's like the build up to the next major, right? And then the first half of the season is like the first 2 rounds. And the playoffs are the 3rd round, solid, right? And then it's like the Super Bowl is the 4th round. When you fall short of that, man, you don't start at like the 4th quarter. You start all the way at the bottom again. And if you're 44 or 45 years old, that's a much tougher climb than it was. And so just getting yourself in position. But I don't want to linger too long on, because I want to talk a little bit of shit about one of our guys here for our coldest moment, Deej.
Well, thank you for bringing that up. And thank you to our friends at Yeti for serving up this week's coldest moment. KVV, what do you got?
So I want to set the stage here because our guy Tierrell Hatton, you guys talked a little bit about him, was really, I thought, the dude who was going to win the Open. And on 16, he absolutely flags a 4-iron right there, and it's probably a 10-footer. He's got that putt to tie for the lead of the U.S. Open, and he just misses that putt and act like he'd been stabbed in the gut. All right, and then he goes up to 17 and just smokes his driver and leans down and picks up his tee like there was nothing. Like, oh, that's going to be just fine. And it bounces and lands on the downslope of the bunker and gets stuck there. I got to play Oakmont way back in 2016, the day after the DJ won. And one of my biggest takeaways was like the grass around those bunkers almost feels like the thickness of steel wool. And so when the ball doesn't go all the way down into the bunker, it's so freaking hard to like hit those shots off of a downslope to any kind of elevated green. And I knew as soon as that happened, I was like, oh, I'm not that good at golf, but I know that he is effed because I've had this shot. I don't think Tiger Woods or Seve could have like hit a good shot there almost. But of course he just kind of bunts that chip in that goes across the bunker there into the other side. And in a rage, of course, like takes 2 swipes at the downslope there. Like somehow it was the lie's fault that would someone else hit it there. I was trying to think in my head, like who could the English blame for this if it wasn't Tyrrell Hatton's? Was this Meghan Markle's fault? Was this
probably
Yoko
the Americans'
Ono's fault?
Probably Brookline.
Yeah, probably Brookline. I don't know.
Kevin Gates,
Diego Maradona, famous Englishman, English villain. But I think I've come up with a way to parse the Hatton discussion. He makes bogey there, of course. One of only 2 people, he was the 3rd person in the top 25 to make bogey on 17. Ryan Fox, Jordan Spieth, and Tyrrell Hatton. Foxy, of course, and Spieth were not in contention at all in the U.S. Open, but Hatton was literally could have birdied there and literally been tied with Bob MacIntyre going to the final. But I've come up with a way, I think, to parse the Hatton discussion. All right, so I want to see if you'll get on board with me on this. Hatton as a person is kind of a delight. He's a great quote. He's thoughtful. He's funny. He's a bloke. Hatton, the character, the man who like puts on this mask to play good golf, that guy is something else. TC dropped the C word earlier this week when he was talking about Shane Lowry, and he talked
in a very global sense, not in an American sense.
Not
of that
word, but
very global.
He also
sense
dropped the
of that
B
word
word when talking about Rory. So I've been trying to come up with what I think the Hatton character should be. What, as the sort of editorial director, I feel like our house style should be consistent on this. So I wanted to, it has to be some sort of like English insult. And so I wanted to kind of throw some terms at you. I was thinking wanker. All right. First of all,
he is.
But I feel like that's a pretty standard British insult. I think Ted Lasso kind of made that too popular. And also there's kind of like a lovingness to it or whatever. So I don't know if the wanker fits. I could go with knob because I think that's a really great British insult too, but I don't think that's quite right either. I thought really close about numpty. That's a great, he's such a numpty. But I don't know that, I think you have to be English to pull that one off. I'm not sure that Americans do that. This is also true of this next one. Muppet. Like I love it when Ian Poulter says, "Like such a Muppet," and that definitely could be. But I feel like Muppets deep down have a good heart. Ultimately, I think I've decided, and I'm going to go with is Tyrrell Hatton is a prat. He is an insufferable prat. I think that this just can stick around with him. I like talking to Tyrrell Hatton. I think he's, I don't know if you guys, I probably didn't see the reaction, but when he was doing an interview after the round, and JJ Spaun made the putt literally while he was talking, and he was like, well, that's just a fabulous ending. That's just lovely. And I was like, God, I want to hate Tyrrell Hatton, Sully. but I feel like the guy Tyrrell Hatton is kind of enjoyable.
That might be true.
The golfer is a prat. He is an insufferable prat.
That is a great take, Kev. I do
not
dislike him as a person, and my dislike has nothing to do with Liv with him at all. Like literally,
no, I didn't even. It's me.
No, I know.
Liv
but just to confuse the two, his on-course behavior just is the biggest turnoff. A prat is. You came up with like 4 great ones, and we can go with that. Tosser's a good one.
Tosser is a good one. Yes.
I thought you were going to go with
perhaps
bell
our
end.
English listeners or Irish listeners will help us a little bit, but I feel like Pratt. Insufferable Pratt is a pretty good lad. And also, I'm looking forward to him on the Ryder Cup team because he might either commit a murder in Bethpage or get murdered at Bethpage. There's only kind of 2 options on the table. Every Ryder Cup needs a main character, and I'm excited for Tyrrell Hatton's turn to be the main character.
Well said, KVV. That was shout out to our friends at Yeti. That was the Yeti coldest. I think I might give it to KBV for coming with just a dossier of British slang terms. I think that's, KBV might earn my coldest moment. Yeti's halfway through 5 drops to get you ready for summer. Check out the Coast to Coast collection featuring plenty of red, white, and blue, or the Hondo Beach Chair, which is something we all love. I also love the Trailhead Camp Chair. I cannot shout that one enough. Awesome product. Be sure to check out their full line at yeti.com. Guys, what do we have left? What do we have left in the notebook? So anything else that we got to get into the record here?
I don't have a lot, man. This is a lot of takes, a lot of shows. It's been a long week. I'm still like, I keep checking Twitter and just be like, oh my God, JJ Spaun won the US Open. Like, imagine saying that to start the year. And he freaking earned it, man. I think I'm still gonna wake up tomorrow and just be like, wait, who won that? Oh my God, JJ Spaun won the US Open. Here we go.
It is again like a not his fault that our poisoned brains just think about things and organize things this way, but it is going to be weird to look back on 2025 and be like, man, the year Rory won the career Grand Slam, unbelievable. Scotty, of course, won number 3 on his way to getting to 27 majors. That was nuts. Royal Portrush, I'm sure something amazing is going to happen. And who won that yet? JJ Spaun won the US over there. Huh. Okay, yeah, that would, and none of our trivia teams got that one right. Next question. It's kind of one of those, which is weirdly captivating and interesting to have been a party to this week. But KBV, thanks for hopping on. Anything else from you?
No, I just I'm going to Portrush in a couple weeks, or I guess a month, but I'm very excited to sort of see that one in person. So if you're out there and you want to to reach out to me and just to tell me what's the good shit to see there, I would love to have you do that. And I think it would be fun to be back on site. I think we're going to do another kind of narrative pod from there and stuff. Set the bar pretty high at the Masters, so I'm not sure we can pole vault over that one, but we'll try and do something fun.
Absolutely. No doubt about that.
KVV, decidedly not a prat. We greatly appreciate you, my friend.
Absolutely.
Just a gross net champion with my daughter in the father-son thing.
Yeah, what happened?
Tears in my eyes.
What happened? I don't know. Is it good to win the gross and the net?
I don't know. I mean, you can't win money for both. I learned because when you win the gross, they immediately like bounce you from the net earnings. It was. We would have finished if they would have let us compete in the father-son division. We would have finished 4th or 5th, I believe. So I was pretty excited about that too. I was like, we're taking names, man. My girl's like, she's smacking it off the tee and hitting great. She chipped in once, and I just lifted her up in the air like friggin' Mufasa and Lion King. Sweet.
Well, guys, I think that's gonna do it for US Open week. We've got another big one, Travelers this week, KPMG LPGA this week as well. But guys, KPMG a lot of
women's PGA.
KPMG
we'll get you there.
PGA. Sorry about that. Thank you for the correction there. A good golf tournament either way, and it's gonna be interesting to see Frisco and how that holds up this week. But guys, a lot of shows, a lot of pods, a lot of words, a lot of takes, a lot of graphics. Shout out to Cody, a lot of social stuff. Shout out to Matt for that one. Thank you to everybody who has been tuning in, making these the most fun weeks of the year. Shout out to our friends at High Noon, Titleist, Travelers, Yeti, SurfPro. Shout out to Kevin Gates and the 2 phones. And guys, we'll be back at Oakmont in 2033. Cannot get here soon enough. Can't wait.
Talk to you guys before then, I promise.
I think we'll be back before then. Back before then. Crack on.